Hello, 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 everyone. How's everybody doing? I have my sound turned down. Good morning. Happy Thursday. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm hanging in there, folks. I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. Um, Glad to see you guys drop in. Let me know when you come in and say hello. This is kind of an impromptu live. Want to share some goodies with you and let you know about some things that's going on this month in September for at all for HR and business solutions for you. Let me see. Let's turn that down. So, how's everybody doing? So, I'm dropping in with you guys, running way behind the schedule this morning. I'm still just dropped my son off at college on Tuesday. Yeah. And so, been running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, trying to make sure he has everything and everything is set up and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of quiet around here. It's a little too quiet for me, you know. Got this puppy here who won't stop whining because he misses my son. So he is like giving me the flux, let me tell you, because he really misses my son. And so when I put my son on the video with, so he can video chat, the puppy won't even look at the phone with him. He won't even talk to my son. My son tries to talk to him. So anyway, so that's what's going on here. Just trying to get him situated in school. I'm an empty nester now, so it's way too quiet around here. Okay, so I'm gonna start turning the music up a loud or something because it's just way too quiet. But anyway, happy Thursday, everybody. I am so glad that you are doing well. And let me tell you what our HR topic. Before I get ahead of myself, let me tell you who I am. In case you don't know, I am April Halliburton of All for HR Business Solutions. And I don't know where my music went. And I am a human resource, a small and mid-sized business HR business partner, consultant, and visionary. And I've been in the business for about 13, 14 years. And I help business owners, HR leaders, alleviate their HR woes. That's the short of it. That's putting it short and sweet. That's what I do. And so this month, let me tell you what our topic is. So, our topic this month is employee relations as a growth strategy. So, my question to you is this: when you think of employee relations, what immediately comes to mind for you? What do you immediately think of? And I have to say that most HR leaders and business owners would say conflict. That's what they would say, I think. If they said, and if you immediately say employee relations, you immediately think conflict, right? Drama, even HR nightmare, right? But the truth is that employee relations is not just putting out fires. In fact, doing employee relations right is it's not just about putting fires out or writing people up, right? That's that's the hard part. But done right, it's a growth strategy. It's a street a a secret growth strategy for your business when it's done right. That's why when you think employee relations, you think risk management, right? And so I want to show you how shifting the way you think about employee relations can turn your team into a profit driver. And that's without the sanity. Okay, we don't need the sanity. The sanity is not good. Right? Right? When you think about it, when you shift your thinking about employee relations, stop cringing at the word of employee relations. Okay? Think of it as a growth strategy. Okay? So this month we're diving into employee relations and how to shift how you see employee relations, how you view it, and use it for what it really is truly meant to be, which is a growth strategy. Okay, when people think of, and HR leaders think of employee relations, again, they cringe, right? And think of conflict. But what if I could shift your thinking, how you view it? Okay, put it through a different lens for you. I think you would have a totally different perspective of employee relations. And that cringing would go away. Now, I'm not saying the difficult situations will go away, but what I'm saying is let's take them down to a minimum or try to alleviate them. Okay? Employee relations is there to build relationships. Okay? Employee relations should not be viewed as a chore. Okay? Does that make sense? So it's about creating, employee relations is about creating a workplace that is where your employee, there's trust, there's communication, accountability drives results, okay, not negativity, and building those strong relationships that will ultimately reduce turnover, right? Prevent those costly mistakes that make you cringe and boost productivity. All right. So are you ready to take that? You want to take that journey with me? Let's look at it through a different lens, employee relations through a different lens this month. And I guarantee you'll see employee relations as you'll learn how to use it as a growth strategy, not a chore. Okay, I was listening to a young lady on a podcast yesterday, and I can't remember the young lady's name. She's a CHRO of a big tech company, and she's worked with some of the biggest companies. Okay, she's worked with the HP and just a lot of huge really, really big companies. And she started off as she went to school to get her degree in engineering. Okay, and so that's what she achieved. She's doing very well, but she received her degree in engineering. But she's now a CHRO, okay? So the question on the podcast was, how do you go from engineering to chief HR officer? That's a good question. And I liked her response. And the response was, I started in engineering and we grew, I'm working with some of the biggest companies, but then she, joined a company where they were growing really fast, and she was the opportunity to be chief HR officer. And her reason for taking that position as opposed to engineering, which she had worked in HR to a certain degree, but never oversaw, the whole um, employee body, if you would. Okay. And so her response was, I believe that if you build a company with with trust and communication and great relationships with your employees, you can grow any company. I like that because it puts the stance that where a lot of companies or HR leaders think of employee relations as a job as opposed to a leadership responsibility, right? When you think of it just as a job, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a job. It's going to be a chore. But when you think of it as a leadership responsibility, you start to look into ways to develop that culture, the team, right? And the different aspects of the team. You start to look at your individual people. And I always talk about how when you bring these teams together and you have all of these fantastic personalities, experiences, skill sets, cultures, humor, just all of these things together, it's really a beautiful thing, right? It really is. Because the nucleus of the company is your people. Everything springs from your people. You can have all of the services, you can have all of the deliverables, the products, the services, you can have all of that. But if you don't have the right people executing the right strategies, right? Trusting in you like you trust in them, communicating how we can go from A to B, and listening to all these different perspectives and feeding into them, those products and services are not going to deliver themselves, right? But it's about the relationships, the powerful relationships that you build with your team, the culture that is like none other, right? There are no two that are alike. Okay, so that's when I say you look at employee relations as a leadership responsibility. And leading is building. It's not dragging. It's not pushing, right? It's building. Okay. And so when we talk about employee relations today, this month, this concept is one that is employee relations is often frowned upon. Because again, when you ask the question, what do you think about what's the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to employee relations? You think conflict. I'm going to change that view for you. I'm going to change that lens for you this month. Okay? You ready to take a different look, a different perspective about employee relations? Okay? Employee relations is going to show you what the cost of getting it wrong is. Because we want to alleviate those problems, right? It's future focus. Always looking ahead. Now you do revert back to assess what is going wrong so you don't do it again, right? Right? But we're focused on the future. And we're focusing on tying your business growth into employee relations. Because employee relations is the foundation of your people. Your relationships with your company, with your team, that's the foundation. Okay, so you want to look at it again, not as a chore. Stop cringing. And let's view it as what it is meant to be. What employee relations is truly meant to be: building relationships. As a leader, a leadership responsibility. Okay, and so there, you want to, you know, stop thinking of it as just putting out fires, but as a growth strategy, not a compliance chore. Okay, that's why it's so important that you put this, you use the strategies, you put the processes, right, in place. The processes, the practices, you know, all of these things that you just dare not to think about. It's not bad. HR is your friend. HR leaders are the most important part of your business, because you got to be able to build those relationships with your team. Okay, so again, the thing that really stuck out with me with the young lady is that she said, if you build the right culture, one with communication, with trust, and the things that are going to bring your team together and your team and help your team to grow, you can build any company. I like that. She didn't focus on any obstacles, because obstacles are going to be there. She didn't say economy. She didn't say the type of product you have. It depends on your people, the type of service you're delivering, the type of people you have. She didn't say that. What she said is, if you build the right relationship and culture, I'm paraphrasing, you can grow any company. I love that. Short and sweet. You have to have that foundation, okay? It's like you can have a foundation on a rock, right? Like spoken about in the Bible, or you can have one built on sand, right? You have to have that foundation. Your foundation is not your product or your service. It's your people. Okay, so 3 ways that employee relation actually drives business. Okay, 3 ways. Conflict, you want to turns conflict into collaboration. We talked about that a couple last month, I think, or a month before last, when we were talking about healthy competition versus toxic competition, right? We talked about that. And so you want to turn employee relations turns teamwork, team disputes into teamwork opportunities. Okay? And that's very important, that you are able to build teams. Okay? That's key. And that comes with communication and a great culture. Okay? That means taking your team, investing in your team, doing team building exercises. I have a great handout that I'll drop off with team building exercises. I love team building exercises. but it's about building your teams, encouraging communication, encouraging your employees to share their ideas, and having a culture where they feel comfortable doing so. Okay. The second way is employee employee relations. When it comes to documentation and fairness, it builds trust, reduces legal risk, and creates clarity. Now, how's employee relations do that? Well, when you're building trust, you're building a culture where communication is encouraged. It's interwoven into your culture. Okay, where you have maybe quarterly forums, where you have suggestion boxes, where you have different ways to hear what your employees have to say, even if you doesn't see it. Okay, so you want to have a culture where your employees are feel comfortable sharing their ideas and even their fears or what makes them uncomfortable. Right? That's reducing legal risk. Because you don't want your employees to be in a culture where they feel like if they share their thoughts, or even if they make a mistake, they're going to be reprimanded. And there's ways to reprimand without screaming and hollering and all that. We don't do that. Okay? So legal risk and creating clarity. That means when you are creating clarity with regards to what needs to be done in certain situations to alleviate legal risk. Okay? And promote a safe culture. So when we talk about progressive discipline, we talk about performance management. Jax, you okay? You okay? Okay. Sorry about that. Puppy's having a bad dream. This is an 85-pound puppy, but puppy nonetheless. Okay, so that's what we're talking about when we talk about documentation and fairness, where everyone is treated fair, where your managers are trained, right, to identify situations and what to do with them before they get out of hand, to work with your HR leaders or leader, however that looks, so that they're trained to do what needs to be done, to identify different situations and how to handle them. Okay? And the third way is culture alignment. Okay? Employee relations aligns your culture. Okay? Employees who feel heard, they stay longer. They perform better. And employers and HR leaders who do not lay the foundation for culture alignment, documentation and fairness, and conflict and collaboration are the ones that feel like employee relations is a chore and not a growth strategy. Okay? Leaders oftentimes make the mistake. They wait until problems explode. We've seen that happen. We've all seen that happen. Going on the assumption that the problem will fix itself. Okay. No such thing. No such thing. Skipping documentation. I'll do it. I'll speak to them, not documenting anything, and then when situations happen over and over and over, and they finally get mad, then the problem explodes. You have progressive discipline and performance management strategies and practices for a reason. Use them to build. You use them to build the culture that is going to help you take your company to the next state, to the next level with your employees. And again, treating employee relations as an HR job. It's a leadership responsibility. Okay? You're building a team. You're building relationships. And it goes to the adage, you put in what you get out. What you put in, that's what you're going to get out. So if your conflict strategy is ignore and pray, we need to talk quick. Okay? So let's think of some practical ways that you can do something today. Because I know that someone is hearing me that knows exactly what I'm talking about. Right? That's feeling like, has she been in my office before? Right? So you want to encourage your leaders, first of all, on training them on conflict resolution, and make sure your employee relations policies align with your company goals. Okay? And follow those policies. Train your managers how to follow those same policies. You know, you can't just talk the talk. You got to walk the walk. Create safe communication channels. Okay, suggestion boxes, forums, quarterly or half-year forums, where employees are urged and encouraged to speak out. And treat employee relationships as a leadership tool to make your team better, not as a punishment system. Okay? How's that sound? Now, if you have questions about any of this, I want you to drop me a DM. All right? And then let's chat. If you have a specific problem that you're having, problem, let me know. I'd love to help you with it. So, in order to go deeper into employee relations, our time is winding down because we have 4 days until our 5-day employee relations boot camp. Okay, which is mastering workplace harmony and compliance. It's September 8th through the 12th. Day 1 is conflict resolution. Day 2 is progressive discipline and documentation. Day 3 is bullying and harassment made easy. Okay, we're going to talk about how to supervise bullying and harassment. Harassment prevention is going to be day 4. And day 5 is compliance meets culture. And that's when we're going to talk about learn how to set up your employee complaint system. Okay. We still have some seats available. think we have 13 seats still available, and I can drop the link for you. Okay. What employee relations challenge are you facing right now? I challenge you not to wait till it explodes. Okay. If you have questions, I'll be back. Drop them below. You know I love HR questions. All right. And share the live. Okay. Share it with a friend. And DM me for the boot camp link. It starts Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I also have a 3-hour three-hour HR intensive that I'm offering for 10 people. Okay. It's a 3-hour HR strategy session to get that HR challenge resolved. Okay. If you're interested in a 3-hour HR strategy session, let me know. If you have that problem, that HR challenge that is steadily nagging you, whether it is the inconsistent way you're hiring and onboarding, let me know. If you have a particular HR challenge, a person, a HR challenge, or a person or an issue that you're unsure, you've been trying to figure out or been trying to tiptoe around it, drop me a DM and let's chat. Let's schedule you for a 3-hour intensive. Okay? Listen, business can be like a circus. Don't let HR be the elephant in the room. Okay? I will check you guys out tomorrow. Tomorrow's Freedom Friday. So we have our Freedom Friday HR question. Drop your question below. Hashtag Freedom Friday HR question. And if I pick your question, you get a gift. How cool is that? All right, folks. Have a fantastic, thankful Thursday. And I will talk to you soon as the plane heads over. Have a wonderful Thursday, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.